Hey, I'm back. So I wanted to make this quick video. Just breaking down the biggest strength and the biggest weakness of each zodiac sign, in my personal opinion. So every zodiac sign got a bunch of positive and negative traits that most of us know of, but I wanted to kind of break it down just to one. Like, what's one trait, what's one strength and one weakness that I noticed from each zodiac sign that affects them the most. So let's get into it right off rip. So first off is Aries. So when it comes to Aries, I feel like Aries' biggest strength um definitely is they straightforwardness, how straightforward they is when it comes to things. Most Aries is not gonna be somebody who gonna beat around the bush, who gonna lie to you, who gonna pretend to be somebody that they not. Like most Aries is gonna be straightforward with how they think and who they are. And so, Aries is really people who what you see is what you get. So for me, that's one of the biggest strengths for Aries, and that's one of the things that I can respect the most is that Aries gonna tell it like it is, regardless of how you feel, versus some other signs that might lie to you and beat around the bush and stuff. And we all claim that we hate liars. So, that should be if you're dealing with an Aries, you should respect that they gonna tell you the truth about how they feel and what they think. So next, Aries' biggest weakness. So right off the rip, it's a couple weaknesses that Aries is known for, but the one that I noticed the most, and I gotta put this as the one thing to mention, and that's the fact that they impulsive. So every Aries I know is impulsive, meaning that y'all make a lot of decisions without thinking. Like y'all are rushing to something or do something and not thinking about the consequences of your actions. And a lot of times that end up biting y'all in the ass a lot of times. Not being responsible and not thinking before you do something. So, that's the number one weakness of an Aries is their impulsive nature. Aries might just cheat without even thinking about it just because the opportunity there. Aries might just somebody say something they don't like, they might just hit them or just do something that's going to end up getting them in trouble. That if they would have thought about it, they probably wouldn't have did it. So that's the number one weakness of an Aries is being impulsive, and the number one strength to me is how straightforward and blunt they is with their personality. Okay. So second, of course, is Taurus. So Taurus' biggest strength I would say is that Taurus is reliable and well, I'm supposed to be keeping it to one because I'm about to name two, but I'll say that Taurus number one trait is that they reliable. You can count on Taurus to come through when you need them. You can count on the Taurus if you an employer. You can count on the Taurus to put in the work. Um, like they somebody like if you a friend, you could count on them to be there for you. You could count on them to like for instance, my barber is a tourist and I can always count on him to be there. Whenever I need a haircut, sometimes it might be early, sometimes I might tell him at the last minute, but he always find a way to fit me in when it comes to things. And then a lot of tourists is reliable in relationships. They might not be the most faithful because I know a lot of cheating tourists, but tourists that stay with the same person for years and years. Tourists is somebody who you could have a long friendship or a long relationship with. And a lot of tourists might have friends that they didn't have for years or been in the same relationship with somebody for years. Like tourists is real reliable and stable and grounded, of course, with them being the air sign, but they show it more so than a lot of people. So you can always I'm not gonna say always because of course anybody can be unreliable, but for the most part, Taurus is more reliable than most other signs for sure. And I would depend on them and count on them versus some other signs, like the next sign on my list. But the Taurus' biggest weakness to me is that they materialistic. It's that easy. I know a lot of people gonna say that they stubborn and feel like being stubborn is one of their worst traits or their biggest weakness. But for me, I'm gonna say something different, and that's being materialistic, which also tourists might get associated with. But a lot of tourists that I know, even tourist moons, like they real materialistic, real care about, money, fancy things, which we all do, but like of course, to a detriment, to a weakness to where tourists can do a lot of stuff for money, like that, like might be unmoral, or they might go against they morals for money, or they might do stuff just for money that most people wouldn't care about, like, or they can chase money a little bit too much, like, it could be a weakness and a bad thing to where you prioritize money too much, or of course you too materialistic, you care too much about expensive things, how much something costs versus what it's really worth. You could be real big on name brand things and like things like that. So to me, that's Taurus' biggest weakness for sure, is being materialistic to a point to where like being materialistic definitely is a bad thing and can be a weakness, like I said, to Taurus for all the reasons that I just gave. So next is Gemini. Gemini biggest strength to me is obviously is their communication skills. Most Geminis I know can hold a conversation with anybody. You can talk to a Gemini and have hours long conversations. Most Geminis is experienced and know a lot about a lot of different things. So you can have a lot of good conversations with a Gemini. Gemini is somebody that you can always talk to. And, like I haven't met a Gemini who I can hold a conversation with and that didn't know a lot about a lot of things. And, to at some point, that could be one of their weakness, that a lot of people feel like Geminis talk too much and too much about a lot of different things. But to me, that's their biggest weakness, is being able to talk and communicate and connect with people. Because we know that take you a long way, being able to communicate and talk with people. Then, of course, when it comes to relationships, a lot of Geminis can, sweet talk people, charm people to get what they want. So I feel like that's their biggest strength. Um, Gemini biggest weakness. Uh, so Gemini has a lot of weaknesses. I know a lot of people gonna say that they two-faced, but my number one weakness of a Gemini is that they unreliable. A lot of Geminis I know is unreliable. They could tell you one thing and do another, or they can go against their word. They could say that they gonna be here or do this for you, and then when the time come, they don't do it. They change their mind a lot. So a lot of times Geminis can be unreliable. They can be flaky. We know in relationships, a Gemini can, you talk to a Gemini and they could give you their number, everything seemed good, but then when you hit them up, they don't respond or don't, hit you back. I had my dad was a Gemini. He was always reliable. Say, oh yeah, Friday I'm gonna get you these shoes, and Friday comes, I'm calling him and he don't answer. So like a lot of Geminis can definitely be unreliable. So to me, that's their biggest weakness. Next is Cancer. So Cancer number one strength to me is that they caring. A lot of cancers are caring people. Like you talk to a cancer, a lot of them care about how you doing, how you feeling. A lot of cancers can be there for you, and they can be great friends that's always there for you when you need them, always there to uplift you, always there to be a shoulder to cry on. So to me, cancer's number one trait is definitely being caring, which I always associated with cancer. Cancer caring goes hand in hand, but I definitely noticed that a lot about cancers is that they caring. Um, which also on the flip side is their biggest weakness to me, is that they clingy. So they could care a little bit too much, and it could come off, and they could be clingy in relationships. So a lot of cancers I know is that they get caught up. Relationships hit cancers bad. A lot of cancers that I know, like they take relationships hard for real. Like like a breakup can really devastate a Cancer, or a Cancer can just meet somebody that y'all only been dating for a few months, but you already in love. Like, like that's a big thing that I noticed about Cancers, is that they definitely can be clingy to a detriment. Like, Cancers can pop up at your house, blow your phone up. Like, like they can be the crazy ex. Like, that's a lot of Cancers, and to me, that's a Cancer biggest weakness. Next is Leo. So Leo number one strength to me is, like they say, and I noticed a lot about Leos, is that they are great leaders. Like, um even though Leo get associated with being egotistical and having a big ego, but a lot of times, like if a Leo in a leadership role, like they won't make you feel belittled a lot of times, or feel like, or make it feel like they, better than you. They can relate to a lot of people. They can know the right things to say. They can, of course, be initiative and taking the lead when it comes to a lot of things. Like, somebody needs to take the lead in a project. Leo could be the one to do that. A Leo is somebody who can get along with a lot of people, make a lot of friends. Like they real great leaders when it comes to a lot of things, and they can be there for you when you really need them, and they can take on a lot of responsibilities when it comes to things. Um, Leo biggest weakness, and I always say this about Leos, and my number one problem that I always have with Leos is that they, not even their ego, like a lot of people would say. I would say that it's that the fact that they dramatic. That's the Leo biggest weakness to me. Like, Leos can be real dramatic when it comes to things, like over exaggerate things, or get overly mad about things. Like, why are you so serious? Why are you so mad about something? They could tell a story and then make the story sound more dramatic than really is, and what it's really supposed to be. Um, in the situations when they don't get what they want, they can be overly dramatic and doing too much. Like, a lot of times, like with Leos, you can feel like, man, like you doing too much, Like, like it's not even that serious. That's a lot what I find out with Leos, and the big problem that I have with Leos is that they can really be doing too much. Like, like y'all just too dramatic when it comes to things, and be blowing stuff out of proportion. Like, it's not even that serious. Um, So that's Leo. Next is Virgo. So number one strength of a Virgo I noticed is that a lot of Virgos are helpful. They biggest weakness, which I'm gonna say something else, but a lot of people feel like they critical or overcritical. And to me, I look at it as getting to know Virgos is that they critical, but a lot of times they be critical and trying to help you. So it come across as this person always criticizing me, this person always looking down on me, but a lot of times it just, they being helpful a lot of times. Like, they criticize you on something, but they just trying to help you. Like, um, what's the example? Like, a Leo might, I mean, not a Leo, a Virgo might be like, um, yeah, I don't. What's wrong with your outfit? Yeah, that don't look good. That don't match. And you would take it as them being critical, or like, why you being judgmental and critical? But a Virgo really just trying to help you. Like, in their opinion, they feel like, that's not a good shirt on you. You should try another shirt or wear a different outfit to the party. So, like, Virgos do get criticized for being critical, but a lot of times I notice is that, and the Virgo will probably admit and tell you, like, yeah, that is true. Like, they just trying to help you out in a lot of ways. So to me, that's their biggest strength. Virgos can be real helpful, and like to help people with things, like they not always reliable, but when they are reliable, they can be a big help for sure. Virgo's biggest weakness to me, and this been said by a few people, but this don't always get brung up a lot. And to me, like, a lot of Virgos is assholes. Like, straight up, a lot of Virgos I know is just a-holes, like, can be just straight assholes. Like, like the definition of being an asshole. To a certain degree, they can be stuck up. They can be hard to talk to. Like, you can try to hold a conversation with a Virgo or tell them something, then they'll just have a asshole approach to things or a stuck up way approach to things. And then sometimes if you try to like if you try to talk to a Virgo girl, a lot of them can just be like stuck up or like an asshole. Like, you think you better than me? Like, like a lot of Virgos can come off that way, like just being an a-hole sometimes. And then with a lot of incidents, like for a perfect example is Kobe Bryant is a Virgo, and he a perfect example of that. Like, Kobe can be a straight asshole. So can Michael Jackson and Beyonce, people who we love, but a lot of times Beyonce got called an asshole. Michael Jackson really didn't, but a lot of people who know Michael Jackson look at him like Quincy Jones said, to where he could be an asshole sometimes and hard to deal with. So that's my biggest weakness for Virgos. Um, Libra. So Libra number one trait, hands down to me, is that they charming. A lot of Libras are nice, so they come across as charming. Like, a Leo can a Libra can talk to you and really make you feel good about yourself, really uplift you, really feel like, really feel like this is a nice person that get it. Like, that's why Libras can make a lot of friends, even though sometimes a lot of people, if Libras it can come across as being fake. Like, man, this person is really fake. But a lot of Libras that I know, like, they very charming and, somebody who could talk to you and know how to say the right things to get what they want, or they could say the right things to, win you over. So a lot of Libras come across as friendly and they easy to deal with. Kind of like I was saying that Virgos can be hard to deal with. Libras is really easy to deal with for the most part. Libra number one negative or their biggest weakness to me is that Libras can lack having a backbone. Straight up, like, y'all can be the same reason. Like I said, sometimes your biggest strength could be your biggest weakness, and sometimes y'all could be too people pleasing and too nice to where y'all let people run over y'all, or y'all could keep going back to an ex that y'all know not right for y'all. Y'all could keep giving somebody a second chance that's not supposed to be a second chance with friends and relationships. So that can be our biggest weakness, is being people pleasing and not having no backbone, like not standing on nothing and taking a stand when it comes to something, trying to see both sides of a situation. So that can also be a big weakness, because y'all can get ran over a lot of times by people and y'all can get used a lot by people. So Scorpio. Well, we all know Scorpio, y'all get a bad rep, but y'all biggest strength is that a lot of Scorpios is real giving people, like not the same as being helpful like a Virgo, but giving. Like, a lot of Scorpios I know will give you the shirt off their back. Like, a lot of Virgos, like, if you've been in a relationship with a Virgo, a lot of people know like a Virgo is the type of person who will spoil you, who will buy you stuff. Virgos is the type of friends Scorpios is the type of friends that will loan you money. Like, that they will foot the bill. Like, a lot of Scorpios I know, and a lot of them, that's the biggest thing I learned about them, is that they giving people, like, they help you. They don't have no problem with lending people money. They don't have no problem on cashing out their spouse, they family member. Like, like I've seen a lot of Scorpios give their last to people. So, Scorpios are very giving people. So that's my number one strength for them. They number one weakness, or negative trait, whatever you want to call it, is that a lot of Scorpios like to hold on to the past. And I noticed that. So they could be unforgiving, which I know a lot of Scorpios get associated with, but that is true for a lot of Scorpios, is that they hold on to the past a lot and they can't get over things. Like, a lot of Scorpios I know be bringing up old stuff and stuck on old ways. And a Scorpio will forgive you. They the kings and queens of forgiving but never forgetting what you did. And if a Scorpio, they can always bring up past things that been done to them, or past things that you done to them, to where, like, oh my God, will you get over it? So that's one of the number one things that weaknesses that I noticed about Scorpios, is that they hold on to the past a lot. Sometimes not even being unforgiving, but they can just hold on to the past a lot, like to the point to like, can you get over that? Like, a lot of Scorpios I know just be living in the past. Next on the list, Sagittarius. So Sagittarius' biggest strength to me is how blunt they is. When it comes to things, Sagittarius is definitely, it's kind of like, I know, like I said about Aries, but all fire signs have this in common that they some of the most blunt and straightforward people that there is. But Sagittarius to me is the most blunt and the most honest and straightforward. Even more so than Sagittarius is. Like a Sagittarius is definitely gonna tell you how it is. They not gonna care how you feel. None of that. Um, but I feel like I kind of said that about Aries, so I feel like it's kind of the same thing. So I'm gonna pivot to something else. So I'm gonna say Sagittarius' biggest strength and their biggest weakness. I'm just gonna put it like this, then, because their biggest weakness is also this, but then it's also one of their biggest strength, and that's their optimism. Sagittarius is the most optimistic person that there is. Like, so that can be their biggest strength and their biggest weakness. Because on one hand, as far as a strength, of course, being optimistic is you always trying to see the bright side of things. You always trying to you never Sagittarius is never really down, regardless if it's a relationship or they lose their job. Sagittarius is never really down for too long. They always jump back and they always got an optimistic look on things, like things is gonna get better. So of course that's a good thing. Not letting nothing really put you down, and a lot of Sagittarius can fight through things, and most of the time people will give up, but a Sagittarius will keep on going. A Sagittarius can be optimistic in a relationship that it's going to get better. So, that can be a big strength, and that can help them a lot of not getting down on themselves and being self-confident. But then on the flip side, it's their biggest weakness, because they can be optimistic to a detriment, because sometimes that could be a bad thing, to where you too optimistic to where you not preparing for the worst, or you don't take things seriously. And that could be a lot of big thing about Sagittarius, is that a lot of them don't take stuff seriously. Like, they cannot take a job seriously. They cannot take a relationship seriously, to where they can't keep a job, or where they can't stay in a steady relationship, because they always thinking that there's something better out there. And then they can also not value their relationships or their situation, because they always optimistic on, oh, it's going to be something better. So sometimes it is good to look at the worst case scenarios, or to, not always think the best, and always that, like, like that can be a bad thing, to where, like I said, to where you lose a lot of friendships, a lot of relationships, a lot of jobs, because you just think, oh, I'm gonna get over it, or you don't take things as seriously because you just think that things gonna be so good. And I've seen that with a lot of Sagittarius that I know, is that they could be too optimistic to the point to where they not prepared for failure. They not prepared to lose. And when it do happen, they not ready for it, or they can crash and burn. So to me, that's, being optimistic is Sagittarius' biggest strength and a biggest weakness. Um, Next is Capricorn. So Capricorn biggest strength. This might be cliche, but it's easy. It was between this and being disciplined, but I'm gonna give them that they hard working. A lot of Capricorns I know, like they just is. Most Capricorns I know is hard working. They gonna put the work in. I know a lot of Capricorns who graduated from college, like, was able to stick it through and go all 4 years. I know a lot of Capricorns who've been at their job for years, like 5, 10, 20 years. Like, like Capricorn's gonna put the work in, and then they stable, and then they can see an idea through. So if it's something that they planning to do, they would stick to that, and, not venture off and like really put the work in to get, to achieve their goals. So that's their number one strength. Of course, like, a lot of Capricorns are hard working. A lot of them will put in the work that it takes to be an entrepreneur. So that's definitely their biggest strength, is being hard working. Their biggest weakness, and this is something different, that Capricorns, or I really haven't heard too many people say. But then, like I said, this is something that I personally noticed about Capricorns, is that a lot of Capricorns is sucker for love. And that could be all the earth signs, because earth signs crave stability. But a lot of Capricorns I know, Capricorns get associated with being logical and making the right decision. But when it comes to relationships, I've seen a lot of Capricorns make a lot of bad decisions when it comes to relationships. And a lot of Capricorn men can be simps, like sad to say, like, they could be the type that will put their wife on the pedestal, be like happy wife, happy life, and just like to a detriment to where, a lot of Capricorns can get their heart broken. A lot of Capricorns can get used in relationships. A lot of that. Like, I see a lot of Capricorns be in a relationship with people they shouldn't be in relationships with. Um, just like like a lot of Capricorns I know is like real bad when it comes to picking a partner, or they'll let their partner treat them any type of way and still be there. Like, I've seen that a lot with Capricorns. Like, a lot of Capricorns might overlook cheating or overlook somebody using them just to be in a relationship, or whatever you call it. And then a lot of them can just do a lot of stuff in relationships, like, that's overboard, to where they come across like as a sucker for love. Um, Next, Aquarius. So, uh, it was between two things with Aquarius. So, I was gonna pick Aquarius' biggest strength is that they smart, but I'm gonna go with that they don't care what people think. A lot of people say that, but Aquarius to me like really don't care what people think for the most part. Now, everybody cares what people think. Like, I'm a Aquarius, of course, if somebody say something about me, of course I'm gonna care about it, but then I don't care. Like, they don't, like, we all humans, so of course they care what people think, but they don't care as much as other people. Like, maybe a Cancer, somebody would care. Like, like, I can take in what somebody say about me. I might get mad or feel some type of way, but at the end of the day, I brush it off like I don't really care. Like, and that's why a lot of times the Aquarius can do stuff and they can come across as weird or unique, because they'll do stuff that's different than what other people do, or say stuff that other people, might think but be afraid to say. So, a lot of Aquarius is not scared to speak their mind. They not scared to wear weird clothes. A lot of Aquarius not even afraid. I mean, it is what it is to be, like with their sexuality. Like, a lot of Aquarius, male or females, not scared to, go against the grain and say that they into poly, or they, into the LBG Q like they gonna be themselves. Like, they not gonna care what people think. They not gonna care about people making fun of them. They gonna do what they want to do. So to me, that's Aquarius' biggest strength, is not really caring and not caring what people think. And that's something also that they share with Aries and Sagittarius. And that's why I would say that Sagittarius and Aries can be Aquarius' best friends, because all three is blunt and straightforward and don't really care what people think for the most part. Aquarius' biggest weakness, that's been said a lot, but it is the number one weakness of the Aquarius, and I know this being Aquarius, is that Aquarius don't do good with emotions, not emotional people. So it can be hard for Aquarius to connect with a lot of people. A lot of Aquarius, like myself, can be over logical, to where we don't look at feelings or care about how people feel. We just 2 + 2 = 4. That's a lot with a lot of Aquarius, is that all we care about is if it makes sense or not, or if it's logical or not. So sometimes that could come across as not being able to connect with other people, not being empathetic with a lot of people. A lot of Aquarius can come off as not being empathetic and not caring about people's feelings, because we so logical and we don't deal with feelings a lot. So, and when it comes to relationships, friendships, a lot of times feelings is involved in there, and it's emotional, and being emotionally connected comes a lot with relationships. And that's why Aquarius can struggle a lot with relationships, because we not emotional, and we not dealing with emotions a lot. So we can have a hard time connecting with people. And lastly, Pisces. So Pisces' number one strength to me, which I noticed, that Pisces are talented people. Like a lot of Pisces I know, like they talented in whatever field they try to do. Like if a Pisces really put their mind to it and really put the work in, like they talented, whether it's music, sports, anything, like, being an artist. Like a lot of Pisces I know are very talented people when it comes to things, and they can be good at whatever they do, whatever their job is. Like a lot of Pisces can be good at their job. Um, Pisces' number one weakness, and I've seen this a lot, and I know that this didn't been said a lot, but I have to agree with it, and it's my number one weakness, is that Pisces is, it could have been sensitive, because I know a lot of people gonna say that Pisces' number one weakness is sensitive, but I'm gonna say is that they escapism, like they like to escape. So what that means is that a lot of Pisces I know can overindulge, and we know that that's a big thing with Pisces, like whether it's food, sex, drugs. Like, a lot of Pisces do stuff to escape. Like a Pisces can cheat or get into a lot of relationships or have sex a lot to get away from reality. A lot of Pisces can run away from responsibilities. Instead of being responsible, they can run away from that. Like I said, either with drugs or something, like, do stuff to keep their mind off of practical and reality for the most part. 'Cause, like they big on escapism, and they big with illusions and living in fantasy land. I say a lot that a lot of Pisces live in la la land. Like, like they be oblivious to reality and what's going on with reality. So that's my number one weakness when it comes to Pisces, for sure. That they like to escape and run away from their problems a lot. So that's my biggest strength and biggest weakness for every zodiac sign. If I had to pick one. So y'all tell me what y'all think. I think I got it pretty right.